Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet. I've finally started to scan my grandfather's photos. This has been a long time coming. I looked desperately for folks that would do this professionally, as the last company took the photos and then went out of business rather spectacularly. I haven't had the ability to get these photos scanned up until last weekend, where I bit the bullet, went and bought a new scanner, and started scanning the photos. I'm about 2/3 of the way through them. I'm going to do a little bit more today, which happens to be a Sunday. And through scanning these photos, I've gotten a new insight into the quality of the images. When you are collating something, when you're putting something together in a fashion where you just need to get it assembled, you just need to get it ready, you're following some ordering that's important, you don't have a full appreciation of the photographs. And in fact, I'm scanning the photographs in 3x3 plastic sleeves, which also doesn't give me a degree of appreciation, but certainly through the scanning process, I've identified some photos. I put about 5 of them online in my personal Facebook feed so far that just strike me as amazing and interesting photos. And as I go through this process, I get a great and very humbling sense of my grandfather's role in this thing. The camera is very sensitive to movement. You see this, there's a dog, a puppy, in one of the photos, and it appears it has 2 heads because it's obviously swinging its head backwards and forwards. And I've realized through this that every photo takes a huge amount of setup, a huge amount of organization. This is not an iPhone photo. This is something that my grandfather had to plan and execute. And when you view each of the photos like that this is something that he's intentionally done to make sure that he's captured this particular image, you get an even greater insight into my grandfather. It's a very strange experience to go through these photographs now, particularly because none of these photos have seen the light of day in, 60 plus years. I mean, it's extraordinary, the insight and just the moments that are captured through these photographs. And I think the act of scanning them has given me a greater appreciation for them as a collection. I've debated whether or not these photographs should be published in some form, put into a book perhaps. And in doing this process, it's engaged me more with the potential associated with these photos. I have no narrative attached to them, which makes it particularly difficult. They're just images captured for an instant representing a very particular time. And it's something that I feel is an archive which doesn't have any monetary value. It just has immense personal and potentially historic value. And in this light, it's a relatively devotional task that I'm enjoying. And it's giving me a very intimate connection with a grandfather who passed away in 2005, I think maybe 2004, 2005. I had few brief interactions with him, but I never had the opportunity to talk to him about his military service. I never really had the opportunity to talk to him about a variety of things. And these photographs are capturing elements of his life which are clearly important. Landscapes, people, animals, little incidental things of people just having fun. It's very curious to juxtapose these images against the Second World War. I realized early on that they shouldn't be considered war photos. In fact, it's just a photographic representation of a road trip that my grandfather took in the 1940s. That, I think, gives it a better setting for the images in context. Obviously, he very consciously censored things. Actually, I'm not sure about that. The whole mindset of whether my grandfather intentionally censored the photos, perhaps because of discussions of war censorship or these kind of things, or he just decided that if he was going to capture memories associated with this time, they were not going to be war-related memories. They were instead going to be photos of landscapes, people, and animals in circumstances which were so far removed from the Second World War, it almost becomes surreal. And in this light, this is the way I'm going to choose to interpret these photos. Others may choose other methods. But this, I think, gives the best possible insight into my grandfather. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.